Hey, what's up, people? How you doing? I was scrolling through social media and I came across a post by African History, right? And it has a map, and the entire map is Eden, and it's kind of broken down into these things. And I've been seeing a lot of this online and a lot of discussion regarding this topic, particularly when Kanye West is coming out talking about Semitic people, and this is something that's right up my interest. You know, I do a lot of research, and I from a non-religious perspective, but just looking at history and looking at the Bible and looking at the Quran and looking at the relics left behind in Egypt, we can piece together a lot of very, very interesting information. But the thing is this stuff kind of goes down various different rabbit holes, right? So you can start out with the comment, but then you end up with the whole blog, right? And so I'm gonna read a little bit of this blog to you just for discussion and try to put it in context for you, right? And give you a little bit of actual definition. I don't want to just say what I say. I actually want to show you what I say. So let's see if I can show you. Okay. So I started writing this blog here, okay, based off of a comment. And Genesis 2:10 describes the Nubian River Valley leading towards Assyria and Euphrates, okay, where they found gold, bdellium, and onyx stone there. They also found a Kushite man and formed him into resident labor. His offspring mixed with the woman brought to him, forming a semi-Kemetic being. He was called Adam because the Kemetic deity Atum formed himself and then uttered man and woman via master vibration, creating them together as described in Genesis 1:27. So just in that's a lot to look at, right? So in Genesis 2, when we look at Genesis 2, let's see if we can increase the size a little bit. So let's look at Genesis 2, okay? And when we look at the river, now a river went out of Eden to water the garden. So the garden, which is more of a plantation than a garden, okay? The word garden was chosen, right, to really kind of disguise the narrative of the story. It's really gaslighting. They're telling you what to think, but if you read the details, you'll notice that a lot of the descriptions, right, are inaccurate, okay? So a garden is a small piece of ground used to grow vegetables, fruits, herbs, and flowers. Okay, a yard, a plot, a bed, a patch, a lawn, flower bed. It's a small plot of land. But if you look at the definition of plantation, right, this is more for commercial use, right? Cash crops. It has trees, right? Notable trees, tobacco, cotton, stuff like that. All right, so we know that Adam was resident labor. Okay, so that is the definition of a plantation, right? The trees, the residential labor, okay? And he was in the garden and he was unclothed, right? He was unprotected, right? He was naked or nude or however you want. And he wasn't ashamed, as a boy or a little girl wouldn't be ashamed, right? Because they're innocent. They would run outside in the field unashamed. But once they become a certain knowledge of their intimate abilities, right, their sexual abilities, their abilities to procreate like God, to be procreative, right, like to be creative, to create life, to bring life into existence, there's a formula, okay? Now, to get back to the river went out of Eden to water the garden, right? So that means the agriculture was as a result of the flooding of the river, Okay, that's the Nile River. One of the clues, okay, and there's many. And from there it parted and become 4 river heads. Okay, so if you look up the Nile River, all right, and we'll just the Nile River. Let's do the map. All right, so we are looking at a map of Egypt, and when we look, you will see 4 main points into the Nile. Okay, and so this is the map that's being described. Okay, so this is the Nile River. Okay, so the Sudan, right? The Nile River is going upward, so keep that in mind. Okay, and then you have Assyria. Okay, and then you have the Euphrates. Okay, so Euphrates, you come down, you go through the Nile, and then you enter into the Nile River Valley. So this is the reason why you have these rivers here. They're going to tell you about it, right? You got the Euphrates, you have Assyria, all right? And you got to look at the descriptions of these rivers. So it says, now a river went out of Eden to water the garden. From there it parted and became 4 river heads. The name of the first is Pishon. It is the one which skirts the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. And you have to say, well, who's Havilah? Havilah. Let's see, Havilah, right? Havilah refers to both the land and people in several books of the Bible. The one mentioned in Genesis 2:10 through 11, while the other is mentioned in 10:7. Okay, so if you go to Genesis 10:7 and you look, the sons of Ham were Kush. All right, Kush. You look up Kush, you see he's the eldest son of Ham, the grandson of Noah, the southern part of ancient Nubia, first mentioned in the Egyptian records of the Middle Kingdom. In the Bible, it is the country of the descendants of Kush. So we see that the Kush represents the Nubian people, okay, right here in the Bible, okay. And then you have Mizraim, which represents Egypt. As soon as I'm able to highlight that word. All right, so you see Mizraim is the Hebrew and Aramaic name for the land of Egypt, okay. So then you have Put, which is a little bit more difficult. You will have to put an actual H at the end of that. All right, so you have Punt. I knew it was an H in there somewhere. I just have it wrong. It means a bow. Put means a bow. Okay, Bible character's name appeared at 3rd. List of the sons of Ham, son of Noah. He appears in the Bible time charts shortly after Noah. Okay. Certain historic record that Punt went into Africa with the southern Kushites who became the Ethiopians. It's kind of true. Alright, so Put is the 3rd son of Ham in the Bible table of nations. The name of Put is used in the Bible for ancient Libya, but few scholars propose the land of Punt, known from the ancient Egyptian annals. And that's really what I'm trying to get to, because if you look at Punt, let's see, ancient Punt, you see where they put you at? Punt was also associated with an Egyptian ancestry, in that it came to be seen as their ancient homeland. Okay, their ancient homeland of the Egyptian, the land where the gods emerged from and consorted with each other. Exactly why Punt was elevated from the reality into mythology is not known, but after the reign of Ramses III, the land receded further and alright, so it's going on and on, but you see that they put Punt also in the Nile River Valley. So this kind of makes sense if you look at that. That's the reason why I'm always skeptical, but I show both sides. People put it in Libya, but it's still, all of these is consistent with the Nile River Valley. These are all should be K's: Kemet, Kush, Kerma, and Canaan. Okay, and we all know what Canaan is on the map, right? So if you look up Canaan, the biblical name for the area of ancient Palestine west of the Jordan River, the promised land of the Israelites, okay, who conquered and occupied it during the latter part of the second millennium BC. So this is the most important aspect of this, because it gives you a time frame. And then if you look, it says in the early 17th century via ecclesiastical Latin from the Greek kananin, from Hebrew Kina. So as you can see that KN, just the same thing, like I said, Kush, Kush, Kemet, KMT, Kerma, KERMA, Canaan. You see what I'm saying? You see the KKKK, all right? And then it says the son of Kush were Havilah, right? Seba, Havilah, Sabata, Rama, right? As in Ramses. And Sabeteka, and the sons of Rama were Seba and Dedan. Dedan. Okay? So, you see that the Bible is telling us that we're talking about Cushite people here. Okay, these are the people of the Nile River Valley. Okay, so when we go back to Genesis 2, and you got to look at that, God formed the man. All right, so he formed man, which is the visible shape and configuration of something. Okay, and it's no coincidence to use the word form twice, right? So it's no coincidence that man was formed, and he put the man whom he had formed in the plantation or garden, right? So the reason why he put the man there is because there was no man to till the ground. Okay, so he had purchased a piece of land. There's no man to till the ground, so he formed the man. Now, if you see, God created and made. God created and made. God 3 times, so that you don't get, that you can't argue that that's a fact. God created and made. And they distinguish created and made because created means to bring something into existence. Okay? That's different than to form. Bring something into existence. And he also made, which means really to construct something. To put your heart in its place, to put your liver in its place, to put your kidney in its place, to construct, to build, assemble, put together something, to produce, fabricate, create, right? So these are 2 attributes associated to God, okay? And if you look, God, the Spirit of God, which hovers over the face of the waters, you got to know who God is. God created, God said, God saw, God called, God said, okay? Called, made, right? Said, called, said, saw, said, made, set, saw, said, created. And this is a very important part here. We're getting there. Saw, said, made, saw, said, created. Man in his own image, in the image of God. He created him, male and female. He created them. They use the word created 3 times in this verse, because created means, again, to bring something into existence. All right. So this is going to make a lot of sense here in a second, but I need to finish up this point. God created, God blessed, God said, God saw, God said, God saw. All right. So you do not see anywhere that says God formed. Okay. So we come into the end because God has now rested from the work. And now we're done with the history and we're starting a new chapter. Okay. So the history of the heavens and the earth is being finished because they were created, brought into existence. And now we're going in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens, before any planted a field. Field is a specific area of open land, especially one planted with crops and pastures. Again, a plantation was in the earth, and before any herb of the field had grown. Okay, for the Lord God had not caused it to rain on the earth. We're in a desert, and there was no man to till the ground. But a mist went up from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils, which is another clue, his nostrils, the breath of life, as in the Ankh. And the man became a living being, meaning he has a purpose. Okay, before he did not. Okay, then the Lord God planted a garden, which was a plantation eastward in Eden, and then he put the man whom he had formed. So the Lord God formed. All right, and the Lord God is not God who, in Genesis 1, they said was the Spirit of God who hovered over the face of the earth. In Genesis 2, this God, right, was a man who was walking and talking. Okay, they heard the sound of the Lord God walking in the cool of the day, specifically because it's hot. So he's sensitive to heat.